Just like that. What's going on, everybody? Brad and Greta Zudes, mybabycansleep.com, influencerparenting.com. And we're talking about timeout. Timeout, actually. Like timeout.
Timeout.
Like toddler timeout.
Yep.
Like putting toddler in timeout. What's the point of timeout? How do you do toddler timeout? How long should my toddler be in timeout?
3 minutes for 3 years old.
Oh, snap. Gonna debunk that one. And so we're going to talk about what's going on in a toddler's brain. Why do we even do timeout? And you're probably doing timeout wrong, and you're probably not even understanding the purpose of timeout. So we're going to go over that to help you guys become better parents. So if you're listening to the podcast here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and a 5-star review would be amazing. If you are on the podcast, you can head over to YouTube and actually see us in studio here. So if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we might actually have a cat make an appearance on this video. He like just woke up.
Trying to...
over here, and he's on the prowl.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're number one best-selling parenting authors. We have 8 children of our own, and all 11, all the way down to Aubrey, who was just a few weeks old. And we thought, you know what? We need animals too. Like, let's just get us some animals.
I don't deal with them though. I made that abundantly clear. I'm like, if I have. Well, at the time, I think we had 7 kids at the time. No, I don't remember when we got them.
6 or 7.
We got them when we had 6 kids because John Luke was just a baby.
Yeah, John Luke was a baby.
He was like 1 year old.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I got 6 kids to take care of. I don't need any more. So it is nice. Our daughter does the cat litter, and
I feed them.
You make sure that
Every now and again we give them some water when it's bone dry.
I don't know. Andrew kind of keeps track of the food.
Yeah.
He does. He likes to do that. You
know, with so many people in the house. I mean, in most families, like when you have a mom and a dad and maybe 2 kids, there's a sensation of like, someone else is going to get the new toilet paper roll, or, you know, like, there's 3 paper towels left. I'm going to use 1. That means there's 2 left. I'm going to leave it. And I think because there's a greater number of human beings in our house, like that, like gets amplified. Like the chance that like someone is actually going to do something might seem higher on paper.
Well, and I think the chances that I get away with not doing it are very high because there are too many people that could have been the, to get, disciplined for, really? Did you really leave that like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't ever usually get done much.
Oh. The toilet paper roll only gets changed when I go to the bathroom. You don't even do that.
Well, that's case in point, right? I mean, that's how I have all this knowledge about people in our home thinking like, someone else will get it done. Hashtag,
and they do.
Hashtag guy stuff. I changed the roll a couple rolls ago. Probably because I was like in a complete jam, and there was like, I'm doing the old like reach above you and the back cupboard above while you're sitting on the toilet. You
did that.
Fishing for the roll.
You got it out, but you didn't put it on the thing.
Oh well,
you got it out.
That's a classic move right there. That's got Brad written all over.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah. So it's finally summer. Finally, the first day of summer, and Grandma is.
Oh, it is the first day of summer today.
No, it wasn't today.
Yesterday?
It was 20th.
Something.
June 20th, right? First day of summer.
It was the 21st, but I could be wrong.
It's like
I'm probably wrong.
I think December 21st is the first day of winter.
I should know my equinoxes, right? As a homeschool mom.
Hey Siri, what's the first day of summer?
Summer began June 20th and ends September 21st.
Oh, that's where I'm getting. The ends are the
summer.
21st.
Yeah, September 21st.
Yeah.
No,
so
no, I said winter
20th.
the 21st.
Yeah,
hey Siri, what's the first day of winter?
Winter begins December 21st, 2020 and ends March 19th, 2021.
Yeah, see? December 21st. That's what I thought.
All right. So anyway.
I paid attention in 5th grade on that day.
All right. So
but Grandma's got a pool, and as you can imagine, we have 7 kids that go in the pool. Most of them can swim, but all of them think they can. And it gets a little exciting in the pool.
Yeah, it does.
And needless to say, we need to lay down some decent laws in the pool of who goes what, who goes where. See, we have, how old's Liesel?
5.
5. And John Luke is 3. Okay, so our 5 and our 3-year-old is like, they can have the floaties off and swim, but mom and dad have to be paying attention, and they have to say, Mom, Dad, can I swim to you?
In the deep end.
In the deep end.
In the deep end. And they love to be in the deep end, and that's the place they want to be.
Yes.
So.
But the problem is that there's 5 other people all splashing around and doing crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
So, although it's nice that Grandma has a pool.
Especially since all the other pools are closed.
Yes.
Right now.
And she lives very close. But it's very taxing to be in the pool. This ain't your go lay by the pool and relax.
No. We're not in those years.
Kind of a situation.
No. Nope. Someday we'll get there where we go and just lay by the pool and kind of keep one eyeball on the kids. But we're not there yet.
We are not there.
Mm-mm. Now
and we're not even close to not being there, close to being there. Because
Maybe-
Aubrey's only 5 weeks old. We have 5,
Maybe when
long
we're
time.
70.
Yeah.
But then we'll be watching grandchildren, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I hope there's a period between our last child and the oldest child's child, our grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
To where...
I'm kind of old, so... Yeah. I don't have many more years left in me.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot.
Anyhow.
But, toddler timeout.
Timeout.
Toddler
we really
timeout.
came to talk about.
So, it's funny because this topic is... Man, there's... Of all the topics on toddlers, I think this is one of the most misunderstood things and tools that parents use. I think it's a great tool. I think it has its place, and we're going to talk about that. But I think this is the one thing where parents just really don't understand why they do it, when they do it, the purpose, and how to execute it properly, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I agree. And I don't think it's very clear, and we're being fed this information on what's healthy for our kids.
Yes.
And that can be confusing for parents.
Right. I should have gone one step further and been like, but hey, Mom and Dad, this is not your fault because the world is throwing lies and just misinformation, and they don't even... even all the other gurus out there, it's like, what? How are you teaching timeout in the way that you are? It doesn't, a logical person just has to think for one clear second and go, that's not, he's going to go to timeout so he can consider what he's done. And he can come out after he has clear thinking on hitting his sister. I'm going to send my child to timeout for 1 minute. And they're going to cry and whine the whole time, but I'm going to make them, gosh darn it, stay in there that full minute.
And that's going to resolve
and then they're
all
going to
the
be
behavior.
Then they're going to be changed when they come out.
Yes.
I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, it's confusing because you go to the pediatrician and they say, you've got your 18-month-old there, and they say, now, what are you doing for discipline? 1 minute for each year. And you're like, my 1-year-old, 1 minute? My 3-year-old, 3 minutes? Seriously? Is that supposed to do something? But they're a doctor, and we're supposed to trust them. And because they're medical professionals and they've gone to years and years of school, and so they must be right.
Clearly, there was a full semester dedicated in doctorate school to
Timeouts.
the proper use of timeouts and how to do them.
And because of the culture that we live in, and because I think that the reason is that we are very child-centered, and that's for another another
that's a
podcast.
good. We got to remember that one.
Because we're very child-centered and because we're so fearful of ruining our children, and that's kind of, I feel like there's a lot of fear-based parenting methods out there right now, and it's, well, you don't want to destroy their identity, and you don't want to destroy their confidence, and you don't want to make them feel neglected.
I thought you meant like fear-based, like I'll give you something to cry about.
No. Fear-based, like parent, they don't want.
Correct.
They're putting fear into parents.
Correct.
And if you do this, you're going to cause this in your child, and it's going to damage them forever.
Yep. And
so we believe in these methods of 3 minutes is an appropriate timeout for a 3-year-old, and that's going to resolve my behavior. And if it's not working, then you're doing something wrong as a parent.
Yeah. Like so let's dissect, let's just walk through the whole deal and what happens. So when you have a child that elevates their behavior to a place to where they need to go to timeout, here's kind of what happens. So your brain is made up of 2 different parts. Your dominant brain and your subdominant brain, okay? Your dominant brain is like the logical part of your brain. So it calculates numbers and plans things and is the logistical portion of what's going on, okay? Your subdominant brain is where all the feelings are. And there's our cat's tail right there in the camera. Come on, buddy. I told you you'd make an opinion or an appearance. So your subdominant brain is where all the feelings are. So that's why when you're talking with your spouse, you start off having like a decent conversation, but then you're like, it starts to get a little, heated or whatever. And then it turns into this all out, whatever, duking it out battle with your spouse, right? Because you start off logically, but then slowly you start to go subdominant and your emotions take over.
And then there's no reasoning happening.
And then there's no reasoning.
You can't have a logical conversation and actually consider and think and process.
Right. So when you go to buy a car, okay, what does a car salesman try to do? You go in there, you've already done your budget, you're looking at stuff, you're like, honey, we can afford $350 a month and that's it, no more, da-da-da-da-da-da. What's the salesman's job? The salesman's job is to get you out of your dominant, clear thinking part of your brain into feeling the fine Corinthian leather and feeling the roar of the engine and putting you in a place of, man, what would the neighbors think if you came home with this brand new car? And think of all the family vacations you could go on in your brand new minivan.
All
and
feelings-based.
All these feelings-based things so that you make an illogical decision and spend too much on a car and get a monthly payment that you're going to regret. That's their core goal.
How do you know this?
I know this because my family owns some car dealerships and that's what happens. What happens then with your toddler is they go subdominant, and they literally, when you know the phrase, hey, you're out of your mind. Mm-hmm. Like they've gone out of their mind. Well, you know where that comes from? You've gone out of the logical part of your brain into your subdominant brain. You're now operating on feelings, not logic. So I'm like, you out of your mind? Are you out of the dominant part of your mind? That's where the saying comes from.
And we all know that 2 and 3-year-olds can be out of their mind quite often.
They get there quickly, don't they? Mm-hmm. So then scientifically in your brain, what happens is you need time then to rise back up to your dominant portion of your brain. So you're not going to try to deal with the toddler who's swinging a stick, hitting his brothers and sisters, or whatever the deal is. And you're not going to try to teach him the facts of life and make him reflect on what he did and have some type of logical, intellectual conversation with him at that time.
Yeah, and I think what actually ends up happening, especially with 2-year-olds, is that a parent tries to appease them with other things like, you didn't get what you want. Here, you didn't get a sucker. Here's a brownie. Here, do you want a brownie? And guess what you've just taught that child? I throw a fit. I get what I want. I get something good.
And we call that training in the negative, right? That's practicing and perpetuating what you don't want to have happen, right? It would be like, a basketball team that practices missing their free throws, right? You don't practice missing, you practice making your free throws. And then it cinches that behavior and tighter, and it grows and grows. So then you put your child in timeout. Now, why do you do this? Is that a punishment? Yes. But what's the purpose? Is so that they have time to come out of their subdominant brain back into dominance. So Greta, is it time? Should we put a child in timeout so they can think about what they've done?
Well, no, there's probably not going to be much thinking going on, especially at the younger years. It's just so that we can, like you said, regain our self-control. And that's what I say when I put my children in. I don't even call it timeout, because timeout has such a wrong,
negative.
Well, it's just different. That's not what I think of when I think of that. And so we call it isolation, because when you can't be in your right mind, when you can't have self-control, the consequence is that you can't be with us. You're kind of pulling yourself out of fellowship with the family. So we go to isolation for a time, and I tell my children, find your self-control. And that's really, it's an important skill to have. It is like one of the most important skills to have.
Just as a human, as a human being.
Right. To be able to bring yourself back down from that subdominant place, that will serve you your entire life. And if you don't have that skill, if you kick and scream, and if you don't deal with this behavior, children will kick and scream for their entire lives until they get what they want up, throughout their adulthood. And I mean, I can say that I did that. Pre-salvation, that's what I did. I was not good at finding my self-control, and I threw what I called adult temper tantrums, and it was not pleasant for anyone. So we are trying to teach our children to find their self-control.
Right. So you said something there I want to go back on a little bit. So if you have a toddler, that's misbehaving in the Chick-fil-A play place, or at a play date and they're hitting or whatever, we're going to obviously remove them, because we don't want our children physically harming other children. So we're going to remove them from the situation.
They have lack of self-control.
So they're going to be put in isolation to find self-control. Now, what is a slightly different yet very similar thing is older children isolation. So we're going to put, and like Greta said, we call it isolation either way, but we'll put a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old or 11-year-old in isolation because they're not showing the privilege to be around the family. It's kind of like, and this is where having family rules and family structure comes in, which is what we talk about inside of all of our programs, which there's links in the description you need to check out. But our dinner table, we have dinner time rules, and who's welcome at our dinner table? Anyone that wants to follow the rules. Who's not welcome at our dinner table? Someone that doesn't want to follow the dinner table rules, right? Do we eat before?
And they're reasonable rules.
Yeah,
not unreasonable.
Don't
rules.
put your feet on the table and basic standards.
Yeah.
And so with isolation, like Greta said, it's just hey, if we're going to be around other people, we need to be kind and polite and consider others better than themselves and this and that. And if you can't do those things, then you're just not showing you have the privilege to do so. So you're going to go to your room. And that's a very good and useful tool to help people understand with the goal of showing them the requirements or what it takes to properly fit into a setting, which is the goal.
Right. And I think we tend to think of this as a consequence, not a reflection. It can be for the older ages, a reflection.
Or even a training period, or
right. For a child, it shows them the cause and effect of, I treat someone this way, this is what that gets me. As opposed to, I play nicely, I treat people well, I get to enjoy people, and I get to enjoy playing, or I get to enjoy all of those good, positive things, right? Well, I treat the situation negatively. There's a negative consequence to that. So it's really teaching them cause and effect. And does 3 minutes work for that for a 3-year-old? You know what? They're gonna do that all day long. They will continue in their nasty bullying and discontentment and whining all day long for 3 minutes of timeout.
So I have another video. I'll link that below as well. But listen, consequences need to be deterrents. Okay, let me say that again because it's really important. Consequences need to be deterrents. If a consequence is not a deterrent to deter future behavior, then it's not a consequence, right? Or at least not a good, feeble one. So 3 minutes or whatever the deal is, they'll gladly do that. So what do we have to do? We have to make it for a period of time where it's meaningful. Consequences need to be meaningful. They're meant to drive a point across. And what happens is so many parents, I feel bad for the parents that like actually kind of try and actually kind of do things and like have right intentions and everything, but they don't actually either follow through or be consistent or do it properly to get all the way through. And again, that's what we teach in our programs when we work with thousands of families all over the world. It's like we help parents see like, hey, no, in this situation, like see this through. Like, no, I would do more in this situation. 10 minutes. 10 minutes? That's not. Your 7-year-old will sit out 10 minutes, and that's.
Oh yeah. What's 10 minutes? I'll continue, and I'll be angry, and I'm gonna. Who cares? I'll stay here for 10 minutes. Yeah. Now we're not saying they lose the privilege the whole day or anything crazy, but like it if they'll gladly do it, it's not a deterrent. It's not meaningful. So, timeout is for children who have gone subdominant to raise back to dominance, and to send them a message that hey, what you did is not appropriate, and you've lost the privilege to be around the friends, and that's a consequence. And if we do it properly, it then becomes a deterrent for them to not repeat said behavior. Yes. And if you use it consistently, it can have great benefit for you. Yep.
And that's the thing. If you find yourself using consequences and you're like, because most parents who come to us, like I literally talk with, between Greta and I, we literally talk with hundreds of families every single week. And so many parents are like, oh, Brad, you don't understand. Greta, you don't understand. Like, I've tried everything. And it's not that there's this special thing that magically works. It's just you need to up your game, step up your game of some of the most common tools that are out there that do work, such as timeout.
Yeah. And it can be hard to be consistent. That's
it's tough.
That's the name of the game in parenting.
It's the name of the game.
It's how strong is your resolve?
Right. And it's all about having that emotional and mental support to actually help you do what some of you know you need to do, right? Some of you listening that's like, oh yeah, you're right. You just need help. I know I shouldn't eat carbs and sugar. Like, I'm not confused that carbs and sugar are like not good for me. It's just like it's why the personal trainer industry is like a whatever $1 billion a year industry. Like, you literally pay money to go to the gym where the treadmill is, but then you like pay more money to have someone make you use the treadmill that you just paid for. But the people that do that get incredible results, right? Because that's human nature. That's human nature. Very few people can actually, be honest with themselves, self-analyze, pivot and adjust, get the information that they need, pivot and adjust, turn, and be consistent in a new way. That's a minutia of people in the United States. So there's nothing, don't feel bad. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're at a place where, hey, if it's not working for you, you need to understand like, okay, well, I need to do something different in order to get different results, right? If you continue to do what you've always done, you're going to continue to get what you've always got. So don't be that person. Life will be good. Toddler tantrums. Toddler timeout.
Timeouts. Timeouts.
All right. Again, drop a like, drop a subscribe if you're here on the YouTube video. And if you're still here watching us, thanks a lot. We really, really appreciate it. You are definitely a super fan, and we really appreciate it. And if you're listening on the podcast, drop us a 5-star review. It really would mean the world to us. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.